So the way that it is right now, if you're like a user of Twitter or Facebook or something, if someone were to hack Facebook, then all of that data, like every single person is compromised from one compromise. Whereas with Nostr, a single person could become compromised if they like paste their key into a malicious client, but that's not going to be pervasive to the whole network. It's a much more divide and conquer sort of thing that people are facing. So I think that the security system of Nostr fundamentally is a lot better for that reason. And similar to Bitcoin, like people have a personal responsibility over their key. You know, like if you send someone Bitcoin, like if you send a scammer Bitcoin by accident or whatever, like, that really sucks, you know? Yeah. And there's no way to get that back. Whereas
a lot of people been there. I've been there before.
Yeah, like a traditional banking system, you can potentially get that back. With Bitcoin, you can't. And it's very similar with Nostr. Like if you get scammed and you paste your private key somewhere where you shouldn't, then it could be that your account is gone forever.
It's a situation, and like, you know, for an easy analogy here, you know, Ledger and Coinbase, they've had hacks, right? That basically send out user data, sometimes personal addresses, all these things, and that affects everybody. If somebody loses their Bitcoin or they send their Bitcoin to a scammer, that sucks for the individual. Same thing for Nostr. And the decentralization properties are really good, but it puts way more responsibility in individuals, and they run the risk of losing way more, right? They have more to lose as an individual.
Right.
And if you're trusting in a custodian, everybody can kind of lose, like sort of collectively in a way. Do you know what I'm getting at? Like, you know,
but at least it's in your control when you hold your key. Whereas in centralized systems, it's potentially not in your control. Like you could have all of your private messages on Facebook just be leaked because of someone else's mistake rather than your own mistake. And so I think at the end of the day, like, you know, and as a person who runs internet services, I don't want to be responsible for holding that private data for users. Like that's a huge liability for me. I would much rather it be the user's responsibility to hold their key. And I think in these sort of small decentralized systems like on Mastodon, running a server on Mastodon is just a nightmare because you're not a big corporation, but you have responsibility for hundreds or thousands of users potentially. And if your system gets hacked, which it might, you know, Mastodon has had all these vulnerabilities in the past, then you're responsible for all of those private messages being leaked as like, you know, a single point of failure as an admin of that server. Whereas on Nostr, each person is responsible for whether or not they're going to, you know, have a security incident. So at the end of the day, I think it's just a much better relationship in a decentralized system for the user to hold their key.
Yeah. I certainly agree with that. But I do think that, you know, that also creates some barrier to entry, right? For companies,
Absolutely.
Right? Sharing a company account, like, you know, PubKey was offline for a couple of months. We're getting back onto Nostr, and we'll get all the streaming and everything. I know it's ironic that we're doing this on Twitter Spaces, considering it's to talk about Nostr, and we'll post these things and we'll figure out if we can get the stream up and running for the live event downstairs at 6. But you know, when companies are approaching it and like sharing that sensitive data and the permanence of a fuck up on Nostr is something that is a barrier for let's say like a company. And also when you spend a lot of time building your digital identity and having some level of trust that you are talking to somebody. I think Leopoldo Lopez talked about this. He had, you know, his first account had, you know, thousands of followers. He bricked that one. He's starting with a new one. And whenever somebody searches for Leopoldo and he sees the 2 accounts pop up, he's like, God damn it. Like stuff like that can become, you know, a bit daunting for new users and stunt adoption.
Yeah, well, every decentralized system has similar problems. And based on what I've seen,
this is not Nostr specific. It's just, you know,
based on what I've seen in Mastodon and Blue Sky as well, I think that the trade-offs in Nostr are still the best.